how to identify how they learn, and how to go about learning what needs to be done. So 10 is still a pretty young age, so he would need supervision in terms of learning. Uh, but what has he been identified, the difficulty that he's been identified having?
Learning difficulty, mainly struggling with, from whatever assessment we done, learning difficulty is very good in reading, but sometimes, most of the times, he will miss out the words or sentences. He will, again, that I don't know, visual crowding happens.
Tracking.
Tracking discrimination is little difficult. Spellings, he is struggling a lot. Writing, written expression, the converting their thoughts into written expression. Comprehension, when it is small paragraphs, he's really good at it. But when it comes to the academic level, it becomes really difficult, as usual, as we know.
So before we proceed further, Amit, I'm sorry for interrupting. Before we proceed further, as a parent, I am a parent of a child with needs who is 17 years old. I have a daughter also who's 12 and a half and borderline dyslexic. Okay. So as a parent perspective and that of a professional, let me tell you a few things that a lot of people do not tell us. First and foremost, you need to get an assessment done of your child. Okay. An assessment does not mean just the IQ testing. Okay, IQ is important, but it is not all. What you need to do is an educational evaluation. Okay, an educational evaluation will tell you exactly where your child stands in terms of academic skills. So what are the academic skills? The first one is reading. Okay, reading by itself is decoding a word. It is not about understanding it. All right. If I give you a passage saying, let me see if I can share something with you people so that you get it. Okay. This was something I shared yesterday. So if a child has to read this, he needs to be able to read saying soil. Soil is the loose uppermost layer of the earth's surface. Plants grow in the soil. So what he needs or she needs to do is basically decode the word and pronounce it correctly. Okay. Now this requires visual memory. All right. This is a word I've encountered before, and I should be able to put it together and read it in sequence. Okay. This has got nothing to do with comprehension. The comprehension comes in later. All right. Spelling requires to be able to know the spelling of the word water in sequence, to know able to know the spelling of earthworm in sequence. I cannot write earthworm as we all know this is not correct, right? So spelling is very difficult skill per se because you need to follow a sequence. You need to remember more than 10,000 words in order. All right. And many children with visual and auditory sequential memory, that is what they hear and what they see. To be able to store it in their memory, remember it and tell it becomes a difficulty. Now, what happens if a child has a perceptual difficulty? So I will show you a screen yesterday that I had shown of perceptual difficulty. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
If you look at the words, even you and I can't read it.
Exactly.
Okay. So a child having visual perception difficulty will encounter the words like this. He will not encounter the words completely, or it might be a combination here. I see it as teapot here, but the child sees it as teacot or T-dot or something like this. It is a difficulty in terms of perception. The child is not able to make out the word. So when it comes to spelling, that is the second skill I'm going to talk about, which makes it very difficult. Now come on to comprehension. Comprehension involves reading or listening and understanding what is being told to you or what you have read, right? Only if I understand and it makes sense do I move forward to answer questions, right? Right now, what I'm talking is listening comprehension for all of you, right? You're able to listen, process it, take out information from your memory that is related to it, or you can link to it, comprehend, and reply back to me if I ask you a question. it is not that simple a process. When we do it, it feels like a very simple process to us, but it's not that simple. It is pretty complicated, right? So comprehension is the third skill that you require in terms of academics. Now move on to the next one, that is memory. Holding on to information and then being able to retrieve it when you need it and bring it out and give an answer or write down what is needed. Okay? Let's look at mathematics skills. That is another concept. That is another academic skill that you need to have. So you talk about the basic academic skills, mathematics becomes a part of it. Now, in mathematics, children face a lot of difficulty. It can be because of visual, it can be because of auditory, it can be because of comprehension, it can be because of memory. So if you look at the skills, they are all interlinked. There is no one skill that goes without the other. Okay? Talk about handwriting. Now, if a child has difficulty with handwriting, he is not able to put down on paper what he is thinking, right? It's not that he might have comprehension issues or reading issues or spelling issues. Everything else might be fine. But here the issue is for gross motor and fine motor. So that's where your physical aspect comes in. Okay. Then we have written expression. Written expression is basically putting down what you have, your thoughts, your ideas in a sequential manner on paper. Okay. Written expression involves fine motor skill, gross motor skill, memory, comprehension, all of it comes down together. All right. Now, a child may have issues only with one part of it or may have issues with more than one, or it's a case of a comorbid where the child is autistic and has learning difficulty or ADHD has learning difficulty. So there are myriad of things. Now, other than academic skills, what do you need to survive? Social skills are a necessity. Every environment we interact in is different. The way you're interacting with me right now is not the way you're going to interact with your wife, your child, your colleague, your parents, right? And there are unwritten rules that are to be followed. I can't be talking when somebody else is talking. Correct? So that's why we teach our children to raise their hands, wait for their turn, right? Now, these social deficits can also affect the quality of life. Because if you don't have the social skills, you do not have the capability of making bonds, right, with people, or managing yourself in a situation, or working in an office environment, or functioning in a school environment. And it can cause a lot of stress to your child. Okay, I'll come back to the mental part of it. Then there is behavior, right? Behavior can be anything from streaming, that is flapping your hands, or playing a game repeatedly again, or not knowing how to interact with a person, just blurting out what comes in your head. We don't know how to curtail our thoughts, all right? There are different things that come. We throw tantrums, we hit people, our way of reaction is different. We don't know how to control our anger, okay? Now, all these things are required in a child. And then we are talking about life skills and independent living that is needed for you to be complete as a person, right? Now, please understand this. None of us are without difficulties, right? It's not like I don't have difficulties. I do have difficulties. I find it very difficult to interact with people at the beginning unless I'm mentally prepared for it, all right? I have difficulty with math. I was horrible in math. For the life of me, I couldn't do math. I just barely passed. Okay. Somebody might not know cooking. I mean, that could be you. I don't know. But I would look at it as a difficulty because that's a life skill. Okay. Somebody might not know driving. Somebody might not know swimming. They might not know how to interact with people. These are life skills. These are skills you need to survive to be able to have a fulfilled life. So all of us have some difficulty or the other, right? Academics is just a part of it. Your goal needs to be how to make your child equipped for life, right? That includes academics, that includes behavior, that includes social skills, that includes emotional quotient, being emotionally intelligent to be able to manage yourself, right? And that includes life skill. Now, when we talk specifically about a learning difficulty, we're talking about only academic. We're not talking about anything else. The presumption is the child is fine with everything else. You know, some parents come and tell to me, he's so street smart. He is so good at everything. But why can't he read? Why can't he write? Why can't he understand? That's just a minuscule part of it, right? And when we talk about remediation, we are talking about being able to help the child cope or manage with strategies. We are not saying it's going to go away. Now imagine a person who has polio or has a vision issue, right? Do we look down on that person? We accept it, right? He has polio and he's going to have it all his life. He has vision issues and he's going to have it all his life. Somebody is wearing a hearing aid. These are physical disabilities we see and we accept it very, very wholeheartedly. But when we talk about autism, ADHD, or dysgraphia, or specific learning difficulty, or schizophrenia, or bipolar disorder, these are mental disorders, right? And we find that difficult to understand because we don't see it. Okay? But it is there. It does exist. And it is a condition you need to live with all your life. That is something as parents we need to accept. Because if we look at our children saying he has a difficulty, oh my God, what happened? What went wrong? Was it me? Was it my wife? Was it? It's not going to help you. It's just going to stress you out even more. Look at it saying, yes, my child has a need. I need to look at how to help him move forward. What do I need to do? So first and foremost, my advice to you as parents is please get a formal assessment of IQ done. Okay. The main thing you guys need to do is keep a record of your child's difficulty. Keep a record, because at a later stage, if you need an exemption, okay, come back to spelling. Spelling exemption is provided to a child. So what happens in an exam is for every 4 wrong spelling, 1 mark is cut. All right. Now imagine your child has made 80 mistakes. That is 20 marks cut. So when you get a spelling exemption, that 20 marks will not go. They will not be cut. Do you understand that? Okay. If your child has reading difficulty, he can't read. If he can't read, how is he going to answer? They provide a reader. A reader will read for the child. He's not going to give the answer. They're going to read. And the child is going to answer. It is still the child's brain. It is still his thinking. It's still his intelligence. If a child needs extra time to complete the paper, how is that wrong? If a child needs a scribe, right? Somebody to write for them, it's still the child's brains. I'll give you a simple example. My son is dysgraphic. He can't write. Okay. He recently gave his board exams last year in March. No, not last year, this year, March. And I was his scribe because he's on the spectrum. All right. If I was helping him answer all the questions and I was sitting and studying for him and I was answering, he would have got 100 out of 100 in everything. Correct? Technically, he didn't. He didn't score 100 out of 100 in everything. He scored a percentage of 83. That is his intelligence. The exam was not for me. It was for my child. And it took me 3 years. Actually, it took me 6 months to prove to the school that I am not writing his answers. He is writing his answers. I had teachers sit next to me while he dictated answers for them to be sure that he wasn't cheating or I wasn't cheating. And what they saw in the classroom reflected in his answers. All right. They knew he's smart. They knew he's intelligent. They didn't doubt that part of it. So as a scribe, that is the moral, ethical part of it. But what I'm trying to tell you, even if a child has a scribe, it's still his effort. Okay. Of course, you cannot help a child with comprehension in an exam hall. But exams are what? 20 days of a year, right? 340 days you can provide support to the child to be able to appear for that exam. And that exam does not just determine his capability, it determines the teacher's capability of teaching. What if I had a bad teacher who couldn't teach me? Then what? It reflects the teacher. It doesn't mean my child is not smart. It doesn't mean my child is not capable. It doesn't mean my child doesn't have good behavior, good social skills, smart skills, life skills. It doesn't mean any of that, right? So here, what you're trying to do is you've identified the child has an academic need, which has to be, the gap has to be bridged as much as possible, right? So you get an IQ test done, you get an informal education done. Informal education assessment will tell me
he has
where the
gotten
child
it done.
stands.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a child who's 10 years old with reading difficulty. It will show me he stands at 8 years, 2 months, which means there is a lag of 1 year, 10 months that we need to bridge. Okay, which helps me plan how to bridge that gap. All right, that helps a special educator or you as a parent plan how to do it. Now, if your child had a hearing issue, what would you do? You'll go to an audiologist. He will check, test. He'll say this many decibels low. He needs a hearing aid. Will you leave it at that? Knowing your child needs a hearing aid, you will go and get it, right? So that he can hear better. Similarly, you have vision issues. What are you going to do? Oh, your child's vision, this size is -2, this size is -1.5. He can't see clearly. Are you going to leave it at that? So why is wearing a glass acceptable, hearing aid acceptable, being on a wheelchair acceptable, but a learning difficulty not acceptable? That is the question you need to ask yourself, because nobody is going to help you, all right? The outside world is the outside world. You are your child's advocate. Nobody is going to advocate your child the way you do. And it's not an easy journey. I still struggle. I am a mother of 2. I've had at least 17 years of experience being a mother. I have more than 12 years experience being a professional special educator, but I still struggle. Do you understand? What is your ultimate goal for your child? You want him to be happy, independent, doing something, having an economic mean. How do you help him reach that? That is your goal. That is the question you ask yourself. And I will give you one particular thing. Every year, I sit down and plan 3 goals that my son has to achieve. All right? And I work towards those 3 goals. As a mother, it can be dressing independently. It can be able to spell 5 words correctly. It can be able to write 4 sentences. Do you understand? It can be able to get 50% marks in all subjects. I'm not saying marks are not realistic. In India, marks are bloody realistic because that is our system. We can't change that. Do you understand? So with my son for his board exams, our goal was at least, I know I'm being a parent here, first grade, right? Distinction, at least a distinction was our goal. All right. And we worked toward that. We worked toward that diligently. Once we knew what the goal was, we worked. That he got 83% was a bonus for us. Yeah. And I'll be upfront. When his marks came out, I checked it 3 times. I made my husband check it another 3 times because I couldn't believe it. That was a mother in me. I just couldn't believe it. All right. And my son was very relaxed. He said, Amma, I'll pass. His goal was passing. That was not my goal for him. And it took more than 6 to 8 months of working for it. Consistency is very, very important. Please understand that. All right. My second suggestion to you as a parent, please get their vision and their ears checked. Vision is not just the power. Power might be fine. There is something called the visual perception, which might not be okay. So if you feel the child is having difficulty in looking at something and understanding what it is, or he's not able to get the words, it might be something as simple as tracking. The child is not able to track the sentences on the, Divya, please, I'm getting scared, on the paper. It might just be a tracking issue which can be remediated with simple vision therapy exercises. Perception requires that. Perception is what your life is, what you see around you all the time. Okay? I'm looking at Sini's dress. It is pink and cream. Somebody will turn around and say, you know, it's not cream. They'll give me some name. All right. It's all about perception. And no two people have the same perception in life. Okay. So please get that done just to rule it out. And this is something we tell all our parents. Please rule it out. Let it not be vision. Let it not be hearing. Because many a child, they say, oh, the child can't see the blackboard. He is not able to copy. He's not able to write. And parents didn't think of a simple vision check. You know, the moment they checked, they found out there was power issue. They got that rectified. The child was fine. Not everything is here. There are other parts that also function. Right? Please get these two done.
Here, what is to be checked in here?
Just regular vision and speech, sir. I mean, hearing.
Yeah.
Regular hearing.
Okay.
That's it. All right?
Yeah, and ma'am, one question is visual perception. Is it checked separately? I mean, if you go to a eye specialist, we need to specifically ask for a visual perception test.
You need a vision therapist.
Okay.
Okay. I will share the number with Siri. There are hardly 3 in Bangalore.
I have it. You have shared the number with me. I have it. I'll share it with them.
That is if needed. And again, that will be suggested to you, Divya, by a special educator. Once she works with a child and she's able to find out what are the perceptual difficulties and how severe it is, then she will suggest it. If it is something she can remediate, right, then you don't need to go to a vision therapist.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Understood. Yeah.
Okay. Now, other than that, there are occupation therapists, there are speech therapists. Again, it depends on the child. Yes.
Kalpana, just one input. Mohan, ENT. ENT, jaake ek bar, means ENT, when you get it tested, you will come to know that hearing part. Okay. It's a small process, okay? There's nothing major in that.
It's very simple. It's a very simplistic test. Wouldn't you take your child for a health checkup?
Yeah.
I mean, when you do vaccination and all, when he was younger, till 10, 12, you did, right?
Yeah.
The child falls sick, you go to the hospital.
Exactly.
Right? Similarly, you are technically supposed to do a dental checkup, a vision checkup every year for your child. Given the amount of electronic devices they have access to, right? It spoils their eye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Please think about that. Yes, Harshita.
Yeah, ma'am, I had a question. My son, 7-year-old, had done a psychometric test when he was 7-year-old. So as part of the psychometric test, he was diagnosed as a specialist. So I just wanted to understand what it is, because there's a lot on net saying that no, 12 is the right age, 7 is the right age. So what is the right age to do an IQ test, and what is an average IQ of like an average?
Average IQ is between 85 and 100.
Okay.
Okay, approximately. But again, like I said, I don't like to go by the IQ bit because for the simple reason, please understand, when you go for an IQ test, a child is being tested in a new environment by a person they don't know, all right? Through a series of tests that they're not familiar with, and it's timed. No pressure at all.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know, the moment if I say I'm going to test you now, what happens to you? What goes through you? You can say, I'm too old, I don't want to be tested, what the hell? You can say that to me. But there are a certain set of emotions that we go through, right? And at that particular time, your child performed in a particular manner. Okay? My son till today he has a below average IQ. And whenever when I showed his report to his teachers, they looked at me and said, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Your son is not below average. The kind of questioning he does shows very clearly he's at least in the average range, if not with high IQ. Okay. As a mother, I could have been biased. Not could have been, I am biased. All right. As a parent. But there are people around who will have an idea. But the reason I'm saying do the IQ test is for your record. Please maintain a record of your child, his needs, because when you apply for exemption, all these records are going to come. Don't you all have medical files of your children? Vaccination, oh, he had fever, oh, he was hospitalized, he had wheezing problem, he was operated. Yes? Why is that okay? Why a medical file is enough? How are you going to show that a child had a learning difficulty? You again need to keep a record, right? And you are supposed to test the child at least once in 2 years. If not the IQ, at least the educational evaluation to see whether the child has moved forward or not. Okay? Any goals that we make for a child, if I have a child with math difficulties, I will look at what math difficulty does he have. Is it directionality? Is he not able to understand that addition is this way? Subtraction is this way? Multiplication is this way? Is he not able to read the number correctly? What is the difficulty the child has? For me to understand that, I need an educational evaluation, because once I know what the difficulty is he not able to remember the formulas? I will start remediating that. I will teach the child techniques to manage that. Do you understand? Why will I go focusing on reading or spelling when the child has a math difficulty? If the child has handwriting difficulty, I'll concentrate on gross motor and fine motor to make him as equipped as possible. I will probably introduce him to typing. Why will I make the child write page after page? Why will I put him into handwriting classes? It's sheer stupidity. Understand what is the child's difficulty. Know your child's difficulty, and that you will get only through an educational evaluation report from a professional. All right?
Okay, and his psychometric test the right test? Because I did it when I had no knowledge. I had taken him to a clinic in Parijma, is where I had taken him, and Dr. Suresh Arur was the therapist whom I met. And he said, we'll do a psychometric test which covers everything, and where he was evaluated. So is psychometry the right test to be repeated once in 2 years, which covers everything?
Why do you need to? Psychometric test tells you what? What
because
information does it give you?
It just gave me that he has learning disabilities, his IQ levels, both were there in the report. That's what I could understand.
What is the level of learning difficulty?
He was 2 years down his age. 2 grades down.
Okay, so Harshita, I'll tell you this. There is something called 2 grades, and there's something called chronological age. Right? If a child is 10 years old, I will find out how behind he is, right? And for reading and spelling, I need to know the chronological age. Okay? I don't need to know how many grades behind.
Okay.
All right? For comprehension, I would want to know grades. For perception, I want to know which part of perception is difficult. All right. Let me give you an example of the perceptual difficulties. I just need to open a file. So give me a minute, please.
Sure.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'll just add on to that. I have been continuously telling you that all these children, remember, last week also I had sent message in the parent group. We have exemptions available for children. Please take that facility. The school will keep on insisting, no, it is for 10th and 12th. But in the present grade also, you can keep insisting till you get it. It is not easy. This is something, no, you are trying to get something for your child. School will not immediately accept. They may have their own reasons. We are not judging anybody. But with Amit, Mohan, we can get the exemption of Kannada and Hindi.
Technically, the schools have to provide you the exemptions you're asking for.
Yes. And I have told you, I will guide you each and every step. We are getting the NIS exemption for Aditya. Seena will know. I had gone with Seena to guide her. The first time, parent will not know what they have to go and ask and what they are being told is correct or not. But since I went with her, next time she is confident. Whatever she is going in there, she knows. Yes, Kalpana.
So there are 2 things I will do. First, I'll run you through the perception skills. All right? How many of them are there and why we need to find out exactly what is the issue. And the second thing I will do is I'll show you a report of an individual educational assessment, which gives all the details that I need. All right? So the first one is visual memory, okay? It allows us to record and store information and bring it up. Visual memory is very important for you to recall the answers, to do spellings, All right. There is something called visual sequential memory. This is again with term to spellings, because I need to write the spelling in the correct order. I need to be able to retrieve memory of when I saw something, where I saw. If I'm going to bicycle, there is a sequence to it. If I'm going to do math, there is a sequence to it. All right. This is form consistency. It's simple to do with how do I say, what I see. So remember, I showed you the teapot. Let me see if I can bring that up again. Can you see this, parents?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so this has got to do with visual consistency. If I don't read a Q as a Q and I read it as a P, or if I don't read B as a B and I read it as an S, there is a difficulty, there is an issue. Okay, and reversals are one of the easiest things to remediate. All right. I'll go back and I'll just quickly run you through, because I don't want you to go through too much detail. Visual figure ground is nothing. Okay, the where it is helps you is to be able to relate to where you saw something, where you did something, and when you're copying from the board, or you're looking at a textbook when you're reading. All right. I can send this file to you. I have no issues. Visual spatial relation is you and what is in your surrounding. How do you relate to what is in your surrounding? I can't go and literally stand too close to a person, right? I cannot not see how do I say, when I'm driving, I need to be aware of what vehicle is around me, what is next to me, where is the speed breaker, because when a speed breaker comes, I need to slow down. When there is a red light, I need to stop, right? So that has got to do with spatial relationship. Closure is being able to close a particular picture. Okay, if I give you a half picture saying this, do you all know what shape it is? Yeah? Somebody answer, please.
Let's see.
See.
No, it's actually a circle. I gave you something and I asked you to close the picture, complete it. All right. Suppose I give something like this.
Oh, it's a triangle.
You need to be able to close that picture. Okay. If I go back to, I'll go back to the same slide. This. You couldn't read it, right?
Yeah.
It was difficult because the words are not closed. The words are not complete. So if I ask you to read, yesterday we did this exercise, some parents did do it. And they said,
read.
Yeah, this is the word described. This is the word read. If you were dyslexic, okay, my visual closure is much better, I think. And that's the reason I'm able to read it. Okay, visual closure gives you a complete picture of what is available in front of you. All right. Discrimination, being able to discriminate pictures. I need to be able to know that this is a B and this is a D. This is P and this is Q. I need to know that this is 6. All right. Oh my God, I crowded it. I need to know this is 6 and this is 9. Otherwise, let's have a bank balance. My bank balance is 60,000. If I'm reading this as 9, right? I am assuming my bank balance is
90,000.
90,000.
Somebody gave me a message saying it's bad. Something is bad. Okay. And I'm reading it as
Dad.
Dad. Dad.
Does it make sense? Comprehension. Think of your comprehension if you don't have visual discrimination. What you see and what you're understanding are two different things. Imagine you think you have 60,000 and you plan a budget and you plan a trip abroad or whatever. You actually spent more money than you had. Somebody said something is bad for you, don't do it, or some person is not good for you. You read it as dab. You go, hang around with them, get into bad habits, get into drug abuse, substance abuse. I'm taking the worst case scenario. Or your boss said the work you did was bad. It was shabby. You read it as bad as dab, and you read shabby as do you understand where your visual perception issues come in? Okay. I can keep giving you examples, not an issue. Okay. Auditory figure ground, being able to identify the sound. Auditory is all sound. Okay. You are in a marketplace. Your father is talking to you. You're not able to discriminate what he's saying because of all the noise around you. All right. Think of a classroom, 40 children. Teacher is saying something. There is a bus running. There are birds chirping. The fan is running. Somebody is talking behind, 2 benches behind. You're not able to discriminate the sound. And because of that, you're not able to listen to the teacher. Because of it, you're not able to concentrate. Okay. Auditory closure. Simple. When I'm saying something to you, you're not closing the word. You're not able to process it and guess what I'm trying to say. If I say something, okay, nowadays children use a lot of acronyms. LOL. What is LOL?
Laugh out loud.
Not able to process. Okay. There is spatial awareness. Like I said, again, comes back to what the sounds you hear around you. Which are the sounds I need to let go to be able to listen, to be productive. I would not go into this because auditory memory, again, plays an important role in your lectures, in the classroom, plays an important role in you listening, the words, the sounds, putting them, blending them together, word by word, making it into a sentence, making it into a paragraph, processing it, taking out what is more important and reproducing it. No? Do you understand the role? Actually, perception and memory play a very important role in our life. How are you able to sign a check with the same signature again and again? It is from memory. Right? And it is because of repetition. Some of you would have, I will give an example. It's maybe not applicable to you. Let's say one of you are trying to make a very special dish. I'm lost. Okay, you're trying to make rasgullas. The first time you make rasgulla, what happens? It comes out okay. It actually comes out good. What happens when you make it the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, the 10th time? The first 4 times I needed the recipe. The 5th time onwards, I start experimenting a bit. By the 10th time or 12th time or 15th time, I have aced it. I can do it in my sleep. Think of your routine in the morning when you get up, all of you get up. Why do you first go and brush your teeth? Why do you use the restroom first? Why can't you go drink coffee, have your breakfast, and then go brush your teeth? Or how did the habit of brushing come in? How did the habit of wearing your own clothes come in? How did the habit of having a bath come in? It's because from the time you were 3, 3.5, 4, let's say 5, you've been repeatedly doing it on a daily basis. Do you understand? The first time you learn to drive a car, you go for classes, you're scared, you're jittery. Oh my God, will I get it or not? Will I have an accident? What will happen? The more you start driving, the better you get. And then you also learn the basic of how to repair a flat tire, how to look in whether there is enough water in the car, right? How do I do those things? So you keep improvising, keep getting better. Am I making sense to all of you? Please let me know that. I really don't want to be just talking off my hat, okay? So like I said earlier, please get the assessment done. Second, that helps you plan. So I'll show you a copy of an individual educational assessment as well as a copy of a IEP. All right?
Mohan wants to ask something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mohan.
Yeah, you said some perceptual test to be done. Visual perception and
perceptual test is not necessary unless the remediation teacher tells you.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Because it depends. There are certain perceptual difficulties that I, as a special educator, can remediate.
Yeah. Will they able to identify which visual perception is having difficulty? Like you said, 6, 7, no?
They should. They should.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me show you a report. I'll tell you the why. I'll show you a report. Okay. This is an educational evaluation report. I don't want to go into too much details. All right. We take in the history of the child. I'll go into what assessment tools are used and what is assessed. So this is oral language. Is the child able to do it? Is it age appropriate? All right. This is reading. Okay. And if you look at the reading, this child had difficulty and we have said what difficulty. All right. So here we specify what difficulty and what are the errors made so that that can be remediated. The educational therapist or the special educator will remediate these issues only.
Okay.
Okay. Look into comprehension. We are very clearly saying where he lies in terms of comprehension. He is in grade 5. He is able to do at grade 5 level, which means he doesn't have a difficulty. Okay. We look at vocabulary. What is the age of vocabulary? We look at spelling. So again, this child has spelling difficulties. It very clearly states how many years the child is behind. Okay. And what are the mistakes? All right. Here it will clearly show auditory discrimination. If you go further down, it talks about visual memory. So I know there is a perception difficulty in terms of discrimination, in terms of memory. That is how I find out for perception. All right. There is a test for auditory perception. I will leave it on the screen for you to read for a few minutes because that will give you a very good idea of which skill the child has difficulty, which skill the child doesn't have difficulty. It is found out when we test them. All right. So this child is able to repeat numbers. Okay. But he has auditory memory difficulties. But classification as association is not an issue. Critical thinking is not an issue. Discrimination is an issue, but it's not very much. So then that tells me where I need to remediate. All right. Or does he need to go and get some other help? This is visual perception. So the child had no difficulty with discrimination. All right. But he had difficulty with figure ground is fine. Spatial skill is right, but he's not able to copy. Visual motor is a difficulty. That shows me that the child might be dysgraphic, has writing difficulty. Okay. And this was validated when I checked his handwriting. Okay. See, he's able to copy. Sequential memory is an issue. So I will concentrate on sequential memory. Remember, I showed you spelling. The spelling had memory issues. I'm relating it. Okay. Spelling errors is showing in his written work. Sequential skills are an issue. Grammar is an issue. All right. I'm just showing you a sample. This is his work. He has difficulty. He needs more time. So when I go down, there's somewhere I had mentioned very clearly. Yeah. If you can see, I'm saying his writing speed is not adequate. He gets tired. He needs more time. Right? So here, when you're applying for an exemption, I would say apply for extra time. Or a scribe. So that the child is at ease. All right. And this is what you have, a summary and conclusion coming in. You have recommendations for the school. You have recommendation for the special educator. Simple, seat him in a distraction-free zone. Provide him with adapted text. Simplify the questions. Give him extra time. Spelling exemption. Give him language exemption. I'm clearly mentioning what should be done for the child. What exemptions are applicable. I'm telling the special educator, where is the issue? What can you do? All right. I'm telling the parent very clearly. I said, continue with your remedial sessions. Don't stop. And I'm telling them what they can do at home to help or enable the child to manage. All right. This is a educational evaluation, which I'm asking you to do. Now, I will just show you a IEP so that you know what it looks like. Oh boy. So if you look at this, this is how we prepare an IEP. Okay. It will tell you the duration. Okay. What are the goals? These are the goals for 3 months. This is what I'm going to work on for the next 3 months based on the need of the child. Okay. It brings me clarity. It brings you clarity. Okay. And that I break it into short terms. Every month, what will I do with the child? All right. For each goal, what will I do? What are my recommendations for the parents? What is expected of the parents? All right. We actually convert it further on to weekly basis. Monday, what will I do? Tuesday, what will I do? Wednesday. That is my way of preparing for a daily basis. This is my way of doing. There are many people who don't do that, which is perfectly all right. Each of us has a different way of doing it. But when we prepare these documents, it gives us clarity. Now you understand why I want the educational evaluation. The kind of detail it gives me and helps me plan what needs to be done for your child, for him to move from point A to B to C to D. Okay. Now I'm going to speak to you as a professional. Please understand, special educators are not God. They don't have a magic wand. It depends on your child, the severity the child has. The duration of remediation depends on that. It can be 1 year, it can be 3 years, it can be 5 years. It depends on what the issue is. Okay. Ultimately, a special educator's goal is to provide the child with the strategies which he can internalize and use without her. Do you understand? Use it for math, use it so use it at home, use it at school, use it wherever needed, use it in math, use it in English, use it in social studies, science. Just the way you learned when you were young and you started brushing, the first 2 years, your parents helped you. After 1 day, 2 days, 5 days of brushing, you didn't learn it on your own. After 2 years, you learned. Think of when you started walking. Did you just get up, stand and start jogging, running, walking? No. It took you time, right? Similarly, you need to give the child time. It takes a minimum of 6 months to see any improvement in a child. Minimum. Sometimes it requires 1 year, sometimes it requires 3 years. Sometimes it requires more because the need of the child keeps varying. You also need to understand the amount of learning your child is doing. Open any of their textbooks. Okay? And see what your child is learning. Open the English book, open the math book, science book, social studies book, computer book, whatever. Open just the content and see how much he has to learn in a year. It is difficult, especially when your child is struggling with an academic difficulty. So you need to provide that much extra support to the child for him to move from here to here. And hopefully next year, the gap is this much. You bridge that, the next year, the gap is this much. You bridge that, it is this much. It's never going to be equal. But this gap, the child can manage on his own. You understand? And as a special educator, my job is to bring him from here to here. And to bring him from here to here takes time. You need to be patient. Because when your child reaches here, he doesn't need me anymore. He doesn't need you anymore. He can do it on his own. Yeah? Any questions? I'm sorry if I bored you all, but this was more of a parental perspective and I felt I should tell you what it is.
Perfect, perfect.
Gone through the journey.
This is what I needed for my parents. This is exactly what I needed for all my parents.
Exactly.
Yes, please continue. Next, anybody?
One more thing, Kalpana, regarding the social skill and behavior you're talking.
Yeah.
Is it connected to the learning difficulty only?
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you do?
No, that's
What's your profession?
I'm confused what to do.
No, what is your profession?
I'm in government service.
Okay. Why did you join it?
Because of liking and...
There was motivation. There was security. There was an interest, right? So any learning that happens in our life, okay, and it has been proven by scientists, by doing research, learning is emotional. Why does your child like the math teacher and do better in a math class, but does not do well in Hindi? It's not just the subject. There is more to it. Why did you take up government services? Why would somebody take up a course as a beautician? Why would somebody like me pursue education? For me, it was a midlife change. But I pursued it because of interest. So learning is based on emotions. All right? So social behavior, everything affects learning. If I'm stressed or I'm going through a bad time, think of yourself. You had a bad day. Today morning, you got up. Everything has gone wrong. How is your mood? What is your set of your mind? The frame of your mind? What is it? As compared to you got up, you brush your teeth, your coffee or tea was perfect. The favorite song was playing on the radio. Your wife or husband greeted you with a coffee in the hand with a smile. Think of it. How does your day start then? It is the frame of mind, right? So it does play an important role, but it's not everything. I have had children who were in a very bad mood with whom I could work and show them progress, show them how well they were doing, motivate them, right? See, understand one thing, a child is pretty much aware of what his difficulties are, more than you are, and it affects their self-esteem. So if you have a low self-esteem, what happens? Think of that. If somebody keeps telling me on a daily basis, your cooking is not good, you're not taking care of your children well, you're not maintaining the house, as a wife, I'm talking as a wife. If I get this criticism from my in-laws and my husband on a daily basis, what happens to my self-esteem? Think of it. I'm just giving you one aspect of my life. Okay? If somebody says, oh, you can't spell for the life of you, every word is wrong. In dictation, you got 2 out of 10. What is going to run in the child's head?
Can't do it.
Do you get it? This is such a simple answer, man. Such a simple math sum. You couldn't do it. Oh, damn it. I am an idiot. I'm Buddhu. I can't even do this much. That is what runs in your child's head. You might not say anything. As a parent, you might not say anything. You might say, it's okay. You know what? So what if you didn't get the math right? So what if you didn't get the spelling right? But you're not the only person in your child's life. You're also a part. There is another part in the school where he spends so much time. Think of that. Does that answer your question some way, Amit? Because I can't have totally, completely, honest to God, what will happen with your child answer.
And can I just add in here? Yes, there is an issue with executive functioning with learning difficulty. The day-to-day management, time, keeping things. Mohan, whatever your concerns are, yes, it is related to the dyslexic mind. Yes. Children with learning difficulty, what comes very easily for others. For example, the learning for us, it happens very easily. No, we just blink our eyes, right? We don't have to make an effort. It just happens automatically. But just imagine if you lose one nerve connection on the eyelid and you are not able to blink. Do you know how difficult the situation becomes? It is just like that. For other children in the class, out of the 40, 35 are doing great. Reading and writing, they are doing it so simply. But I am not able to do. Everybody is getting, they are doing it so easily, but it is not coming to me. I am not able to do. Means something is wrong in me. There's a lot of self-criticism that the child takes in on a daily basis without even realizing.
So, Mohan, executive functioning skills are something not only you need for learning, but also for living a life.
Yeah.
Right? Again, we can always determine what executive functioning skills are difficult for a child. Okay. There is something called independent daily living skills. A lot of executive functioning skills come under that. Okay. And we can determine what the issue is and we can remediate that. Please understand there is nothing that is not remediatable. It is. The extent to which the child will cope up is something that is individualistic. After remediating my son on handwriting for so many years, he can write, but it's not completely legible for people who don't know him. Where he couldn't hold a pencil, today he can hold and write a paragraph. That is progress for him. Do you understand? It might not be what another child can do. But his confidence of, I'm not good at writing, I can't do it. From here, it has come to this. That is progress. Because self-esteem is not affected. And he's been told, you know what, if you can't write, it's okay. I will write it for you, or you type. There is an alternative. Right. You can type and people will understand.
So many alternatives, right?
Right? So with remediation, that is what we are doing. We are teaching you the strategies, or we are giving you alternatives which are equally acceptable. If a child has severe reading difficulty, we introduce them to a reader, an automated reader or a person. So we are taking out the quotient of not being able to read. Now you have somebody who can read for you. There is voice to text software.
Yes, we are using
with my students. I give them question answers or lessons on Word document. They use the voice to text. That will read for them. They comprehend. They reply. Because these were children with severe difficulty. So when they came to me, they were, I think, 14. Okay. They could not read TO2, and. Because it had never been identified. After 3 years of remediation, they're able to read a text. But with that difficulty, within 1.5 years, they wrote their 10th board. And they scored 85%. It was not about this. You understand? Intellectually, they were fine. The difficulty was in reading and spelling. So the moment we gave them a scribe and we gave voice to text and the examiner provided with the reader, for them to show their intelligence, to show their learning, their understanding was easy. And with enough time of remediation, they're able to read.
There are so many facilities that we can use for the children and make them learn. They are 100,000% learnable. It is our drawback that we are not giving them all that and we are not utilizing it for their benefit.
Okay, I'll give a very simple example. Somebody who has lived in Bangalore all their life. I'm assuming, Mohan, you've lived in Bangalore all your life? Yeah. I belong to I'm a military brat. Basically, my father was in the Air Force. Okay. Now, I have roamed all around India. But when I came to Bangalore, Bangalore was new to me. The language, the people, their traditions, their beliefs. It took me time to adjust. Okay. Now, similarly, imagine somebody coming from the interiors of Shimoga or Hassan, right? Because I had the exposure of being in metro cities, I took maybe this much time to adjust. But imagine somebody who has lived their life in a village always, who comes into the city. They probably need this much time to adjust. But for you, it was never an issue. So imagine the learning difficulties. Some children need this much support to be able to read, to be able to spell, to be able to do math. Some people need this much support. So are you going to give them that much time? That is the question. Because I've come across so many parents who will say, oh, my son is able to read THE, the CAT, CAT, MAT, MAT, he doesn't need you. And after 3 years, they'll come back saying, oh my God, my son is regressing, please help him. Simple reason, you didn't give him the time to come. The moment he came to this, you pulled him away. There was this gap. You never addressed it. That's it. So it does happen. There are people who have come to me with their children for remediation. I've done a remediation for a year and they decided that's it, not needed. You know, there's not actually much difficulty because the child was actually doing well or fine. Then they've seen difficulties in the classroom. The school teacher, the principal has called them back saying the child still is struggling. They haven't believed it. They've gone to a psychologist. Psychologist has done an IQ evaluation, an educational evaluation, and asked them, why did you stop? Your child was lagging behind by 3 years. Today he is lagging behind by 2 years. Why did you stop? Why didn't you bridge that gap also? You wasted 1 year. So when you bring back the child to me, the child who was at 2 years has gone back to 2.5 years. All my work for 1 year along with your child. Do you understand? Where is 1 year? Where is 6 month regression? Now I need to work from 2.5 down. And one thing that really helps, any special educator you go to, anybody you approach, please ask them for strategies on how to work with your child at home. Unless you are proactive, giving them that 15-20 minutes that they need. It's just 15-20, maybe 1 hour of your life, maybe 3-4 days a week. That 1 hour of your time, 4 days a week, if you put in, your child is going to move forward much better. Give you again, going back to car driving. I'm learning to drive. The difference between me taking 2 classes a week for driving as compared to going 5 days a week. There is a difference. When I go 5 days a week, I learn faster. When I 5 days a week, I learn faster. Okay, there is some lag. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, now.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I go 5 days a week for classes, my learning is much faster as compared to 2 days in a week. Agree?
Yeah.
As compared to once a month or once a week. So if your child is going for remediation, let's say 3 days a week, there are still 4 days in the week left. Give 1 day off. Let your child's brain relax. Another 3 days you can work with your child for half an hour, 45 minutes. Ask the special educator, what do I need to do at home? How do I help my child? What strategies are you using? I sit with you and learn just to enable him at home. That's all you need to do. It is that simplistic, but you need to be consistent. It can't be, I will do this week, next week, I can't do it. Or I'll do for 3 months and then it's anyway, special educator is working. Why should I bother?
It doesn't work.
It's an everyday effort for you to get your child moving from A to B. Everyday effort. And now I'll talk to you as a mother. For the past 14 years, I've been working with my son every day. There are rewards. It has paid off. He is doing well. But it has been consistently following it through. Do you understand? Without that consistency from your side, it is going to be a struggle. Simple. I used to drop my son, pick him up. He used to go by school bus. Today he walks on Banaghatta Road, which is as good as the MG Road with the traffic. He walks and goes to college on his own. For me to bring him here took all these years.
We cannot give up. We cannot give up just for the sake of our children. We just cannot give up. It is a very difficult journey. But who else will do it for the children? For my child, if I don't do, who else will do?
Nobody will fight for your child as much as you do. Nobody. When my son wrote his 10th exam, I had told the school I will get an assessment. So they just left it. They got assessment for another 15 kids. They got all the exemptions done. They went to the education board. They got the letter. I ran behind the education board for 7 weeks. Every week I would go stand there. Till I got the exemptions he needed. I'm not saying you're all going to do that. I'm not saying you have to do it. Maybe you have schools that will do a great job. Maybe you have a cine who will do it for you. I don't know.
All my parents have to do it. That is confirmed. There's no option. But when, that will be decided as per the requirement. But all my parents have to get it done. Otherwise, the child's self-esteem and confidence, I will bring it out after 1 year. If they're not there with me, again, it will go down. We will work together. In my programs, it is a complete clear instruction. Parent and us, we have to work in sync. Otherwise, we will not be in sync. Zia, thanks that you could attend today's meeting.
Yeah.
But Zia's son is 7-year-old, Kalpana, Amar.
Yes, ma'am.
Visual perception, visual memory, visual discrimination, auditory discrimination, working memory, impulsivity, hyperactivity. There is a multiple issue.
Zia, can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Have you had him tested by a vision therapist and have you had him assessed by an occupational therapist?
No.
Vision therapist we have done, ma'am, for that one.
Okay.
Occupational therapist?
No, I have not done.
So here is my recommendation first and foremost, because there is attention issue. I'm also assuming there is sensory issue, which is affecting him. I'm not too sure because I don't know your child, but it would be advisable if you can rule that out.
Yes, ma'am. I'll update ma'am on this one.
So that is something you can look at because your child is pretty young. The age group of your child, we call it early intervention. Okay. Where the synapses of the brains are still forming to a great extent. And to rewire that for us is very easy.
Yeah, and we are doing that. But here, my main challenge is I am not getting support from house. Mom is now, her health is not that great. We are not getting. See, I am telling this here, no blaming, no criticism. This is a requirement for the child. That is why I am also worried. Amar and Ronak are the same. If you see the behavior, difficulty and all that. But Ronak, I got a very good, transformation or the progressive path because the parent was very compliant.
Ma'am, I think you're on mute. Can't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I talked for so long and I was on mute. I'm so sorry. Okay, Zia.
Yes, ma'am.
Amar, now he's there from with me from the month of January. Okay, when he started with me till June, July, the child didn't have that realization that he is lagging behind. There is something not right with himself.
Okay.
Lately, we have started seeing crying spells. He's crying, but he's getting frustrated and then he's crying. So this is the change which we are seeing because he's growing older now. Now he is 7 years, 8 months. तो उसको खुद को भी उसको लग रहा है कि अभी मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है. So that is leading to frustration which was not there in Amar all these days. But he's growing old. He's growing bigger. He is, that realization is setting him now. Amar is a very intelligent child, very strong auditory reception. Learns very fast when the auditory input is given. Amar and Ronak are in the same scenario for me. When I see the learning difficulty, their learning behavior and pattern is different. But the difficulty is same. But Amar's progress is very slow. And the only challenge I'm facing here is I'm not getting the parental support that the child requires at home. He needs a lot of repetitions. Consistently, it is not happening. Ronak, it is working because Nisha is very compliant. Yesterday I tell each and every parent about Nisha. Word to word she follows. Just an example with the writing, Zia. Remember, he had started writing in a very beautiful way. Correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
बहुत अच्छे से उसने लिखना शुरू किया था. लेकिन अभी वो वापस बेड में पहुंच गया है, वापस फ्लोर में लिखना शुरू बैठ गया है. टेबल चेयर जब तक आप नहीं यूज करोगे बच्चे का हाथ नहीं सधेगा. Correct position, posture, everything is a must. And he himself is getting frustrated with that. That is the concern area now.
Okay.
Zia?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an assessment? Can I please see you if you don't mind? I would rather have a face to relate to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can.
Hi. Thank you so much. Do you have an assessment of your son?
Only that last time done in that school only they have done, ma'am.
Which school
after doing DPS.
DPS.
North, South, East?
Yeah, DPS
North. He came to me via Aisha.
Okay. So what exactly does the assessment say?
After assessmenting my child, they had informed me that they had keeping separate one by one initially.
1 to 1 because?
Yeah.
Why?
Because due to some learning difficulty, they informed me initially.
Okay.
Again, after that, I went to school. They informed me that for Amar, you need one special educator like that.
Okay. Here is my question. Was his birth full term?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't get this.
His birth, was it full term?
Yes, ma'am. Full term.
He cried immediately?
Yeah, he cried immediately.
And did he have any medical issues?
No, there is no any medical issue.
He's never been hospitalized for anything?
No,
nothing problem, like
nothing.
Is it a family history there of difficulties?
No, there is no any family history like that.
That you don't know of. Please understand.
Yeah, the awareness is not there.
Skip generations. They're always there.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Generations. You might not even know about it.
I think I didn't know that properly. Yeah.
They may not know. Actually.
Can you describe what are the issues you face? I mean, I want your perspective. I don't want Sydney to tell me. I want you to tell me what you find.
Means in the assessment you're asking me that one.
What do you find as a father?
That ma'am is telling that same his writing problem. When we dictate some sentence or some word, particular any word, special word or something like that, in that particular word he's not able to write.
Okay. Does he have any eating preferences? Is this something that he eats, he doesn't eat?
No, not like that. He usually eat properly only.
No, everything. Every texture, from a roti to a chawal to a fruit to a sweet to something that is rough.
That I have not observed, ma'am.
Is there some clothing preference he has which he doesn't like? Certain types.
Yeah. Clothing preference is always want to wear some formal t-shirts like that only, track pant. He don't want that formal. He don't want to wear like that.
Okay. Does he keep getting hurt?
Yes. Like that he will having some behavior also.
Okay. Zia, first and foremost, please get a occupational therapist evaluation done for your son.
Okay, ma'am. I'll do.
Because I feel he might have sensory issues.
Okay.
There is something called a sensory integration disorder, where the way my senses, my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my skin receives information, is different.
Okay, ma'am.
And there are thresholds. There are certain things I can put up with. There are certain things I cannot put up with. Okay. An ant walking on my hand will be irritating to me. But if you take a scale and hit me, I will not make a noise. It doesn't affect me at all.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. I might prefer something that is cold as compared to something that is hot.
Okay.
When my hand burns, I might not realize it.
Okay.
Okay. I might be comfortable wearing cotton clothes, but if you put anything with a high collar or something that is silk, I might not like it.
Okay.
All right. Now, these are sensory issues. I'm coming from a parent's perspective. My son had it. I had to get a sensory profiling done. I had to provide him therapy for 2.5 years almost. All right. And it helped a lot. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
His attention improved. His behavior improved. Concentration improved. All right. He started doing better.
Sure, ma'am. Okay.
All right. My only suggestion, please get a OT-SI profile done. You can go to Spastics.
Okay, ma'am.
Have a wonderful SI team.
Okay.
I'm thinking from perspective of where you stay, in terms of which are the institutes that are close to you.
Yeah, I'll stay nearby Vidyaranyapuram only, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking who is there in Vidyaranyapuram. I can try and find out, or Sini can find out. But Spastics,
I have that.
Spastics is one of the best places I know. I took my son there. I did his assessment there. And they were bang on with what were the difficulties. Okay. And I didn't take him for therapy more than once a week. I used to go once a week.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, my parents go there.
So once a week, taking him for a year or year and a half will make a lot of difference in your child's life.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, I'll go.
Please look into that. Because once you look into that, the behavior, everything will fall in place. You know, he's not wantedly doing it.
Yes.
I mean, just imagine sitting on a rough rock while you're studying. Will you, any of you be able to do it?
Yes, ma'am.
Sitting on a rock which is pointed, which is hurting you.
Yeah.
You won't be able to concentrate. Your behavior will be irritated, angry, upset.
Yes, ma'am.
The child is not wantedly doing it. Instead, put a plain surface table, chair, or put a pillow. The child is more comfortable, right?
Yeah.
All the behavior issues come down. Attention improves, concentration improves.
Okay.
You're helping him. So please look at OT-SI for him.
Sure, ma'am. I'll go through that one, ma'am.
Anyone else, any questions, please ask me. I can help you out with the limited knowledge I have.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a small incident. Probably it will be useful to other parents to understand what our children go through on a daily basis. My son Neve, he was maybe around 6.5, and same school, like 100 words of dictation, and he was consistently scoring 0, 1, 2. This was his mark always. He's never scored above 1 or 2 in like out of 10. So once when he had a class dictation, and I was like, okay, come, let's sit. I'll teach you. We'll get good marks. I was just trying to motivate him so that he sits with me, and I try to help him out. So what he said me, like at the age of 6.5, was, I still remember this answer. He's like, Mom, what is the use? My brain doesn't support. Like a 6.5-year-old child telling, what I can't do it. I'll never get full mark because and he's touching his hand and saying that my brain doesn't support. He didn't have any class. He was not diagnosed till then. We were not telling him at home that he has learning. He never heard it from any one of us. I don't know how he heard, but that's very important that our child goes through on a daily basis with school, with other children, and they are feeling left out. And I mean, that was one moment where I really felt bad, and I'm like, it's okay, don't study, and marks are not. I felt bad. I was like totally in shock, where I didn't know how to react to my son when he said that my brain doesn't support. Like, and a 6.5-year-old child is saying that. So, I mean, our children are going through a lot of difficulty on a daily basis. All we can do is support them, because as an adult, maybe certain emotional aspect we are able to handle better. We have learned it, but our kids are too small. They don't know to handle it, and it's very important to be with them to help them how much ever is possible. I am a full-time working mother. Sini knows me very well. It's a lot of things Sini has told. I couldn't follow it, but like, I know my child has a problem, and I'm not ready to leave it there. I'm trying my best to help him wherever it is possible. So just a small incident, I thought most of you can relate to. It does happen. Our children does understand. Our children have that insecurity or the low confidence issue, which we have to support them.
And it was so easy. See, it is so easy. The whole potential lies within the child. It took me only 15 days to make him start reading. He actually reads even beyond the spelling rules that we have covered now. There is a stepwise progress of spelling rules. How do we teach the child to learn? We are trying to develop the spelling skills in him. We have done only 6 or 7 rules, but he started reading without any problem. And it is so easy. Towards effort, a small effort from my side just brought the child out of his cocoon without even me realizing, without even he realizing. That is the time when I realized that it is so easy. It is all within them. We have to just support them to channelize it out correctly. It is all within them. Neve is an intelligent child. Amar, he is the most intelligent child with me. But when it comes to reading and writing, I ask him any question, he will give me the answer. But if I ask him to read and write the answer, outcome is 0. And for no fault of them. Unko to pata bhi nahi hai. They don't even know what is happening with them. They have no clue. Sina, I would like you to share your experience with Aditya. Please share your experience because it will help other parents. Unmute.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. I had an question to ask to Kalpana, ma'am. My son is 15 years old. So how to organize him to in a daily basis manner for his studies and the other stuffs and all.
Does his daily routine involve a study time?
Yes, I am fixing a timetable for him, but he is not ready to go according to that. So I don't know how to.
He's 15. Why are you fixing it and why isn't he fixing it? My question is that he's 15, he's responsible, he has an age. I understand where you're coming from. And I will tell you a simple exercise I did with my son. All right. It's very simplistic. Please try it out. If it doesn't work, come back to me. I'll tell you what to do. You can all do this with your child. This is 24 hours in a day. Okay. My drawings are horrible. Please excuse me. This is the exercise I did with my son. I'm just showing you what I did so that you can understand. I showed this circle and I said, this is 24 hours. All right. And I told him I'm going to break it for you into 12. You know the clock, right? 3, 6, 9. You know the clock? But what I did was I said 24, 23, 22. I wish I could write faster. My God, life would be so much easier. 20, 19, 18. Do you understand what I'm doing it? I'm splitting it into a whole day.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. 17, 16, 15. Baby, not now. I'm in a class. Okay, bye. Thank you. 13, 12. No, 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 no. I'm sorry. No. I don't care. Right? All right. So what I did was I told him, let's first take out what is very important in your life. 8 hours of sleep. So we took out 8 hours of sleep. Okay. And then you go to school. No, actually what we did was we actually split it like this. Yeah, 21 to 7 is a sleep time. Okay. 24 hours. This was his sleep time. And then he goes to school at around 7:30, let's say 8. So 8 to 4, he's at school. Okay. Right? I'm leaving this 1 hour for him to get ready for school. Okay. And I'm leaving another hour for him to eat, change, sleep, blah, blah, blah. And then I would give him another hour and a half to play. And I said, this particular time that you have in between. This particular hour in between is your study time. All right. And I asked him to draw a schedule like this that showed me. Simple. We wrote it down in words. 7 to 8, ready to school. Okay. 8 to 4, school time. 4 to 5, relax. 5 to 7, play. Even if I say 7 to 8 is TV. Bedtime is 10. All right. I'm just giving you an example. So we put this as study time. TV plus dinner. I mean, I add everything to it. Okay. And 10 is bedtime.
Okay.
So this part of it, he came up with. We did this exercise together for him to understand how much time he spends on what.
Okay.
Okay. I've just given you an example. This is not actually accurate because if I talk about sleep time, I'm talking about 8 hours of sleep, right? So he sleeps like this. There is still this much time in between. This is so much time there. Do you understand? He actually has a lot of free time if I look at it. So I told him we can't avoid this. We can't avoid this. It's a necessity. Same way you need 2 hours to eat, sleep, or we can't avoid this part of it because again, it's a necessity for you to have leisure time or free time in your life.
If we make a timetable every day,
no,
then they are not following it.
No, that is a mistake. You don't make it every day. So you have one timetable that is for the weekdays, right?
Yes.
And your timetable during weekdays and weekends is different. Am I correct? You don't have the same schedule on weekends and weekdays. So we make one for the weekdays, we make one for the weekend. So weekend is when he would end up spending more time.
Once the timetable is done, after that, the child is very defiant, stubborn, adamant, I will not do, I will do it later.
So that is the reason I make the timetable with the child. I say I need 2 hours or 1.5 hours of your study time. 1 hour every day. You need to sit down irrespective of what happens. You're going to get your TV, you're going to get your playtime, you're going to get your time to spend with family, with friends and everything. 1 hour is for studies. Right? And on weekends, it's 2 hours, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. This is how I started with my son when he was 4. And the reason it's easy for me today is because I've been doing it for so many years. It is going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. Okay. Even that 1 hour, you need to tell him, I want you to learn these 8 questions in, let's say, English, 4 questions, and let's say in social studies, 4 questions. Today's job is learning this. You take 1 hour to learn it, you take 1.5 hours to learn it, or take 45 minutes to learn it and write it down. That's up to you. Do you understand? If you're able to do it in 1 hour, great. If you're able to do it in half an hour, great. But this is the task you need to complete. You finish it and you can go.
He's not listening. Here, actually, he's not listening to the mother at all.
Deepika, give me a few reasons why you think it's happening. Or what do you think is happening?
I don't know.
Because I'll ask you, has he had a consistent study time all his life?
No, ma'am, because he didn't like it.
So that is what is making it difficult. Do you understand? It's a habit. Again, it's about habit. It's about discipline. It's about regulating things. And maybe you will start today, you start with this and it becomes difficult. But if you continue consistently for a month, it will become easier. It will become easier. Okay, it takes time.
One thing I just
put it, okay, make a chart and put it on his room, put it in the drawing room. 5-10 minutes before he has to sit down to study, tell him, look at your calendar. We need to sit at 7. I don't want excuses. You are the mother, be the mother. Don't be the friend. Many of us do that. We give in and say, it's okay. No, I am the mother. You need to listen to me. And it will take, he will fight. He will defy you because that is the age he's at. And this is not a habit he has in place. Do you understand? You need to bring that in. Think of it as a goal. From 3 months from now, my son will be able to sit down and study for an hour. Put that as a goal and work towards it. 1 hour study, give him 20 minutes studying, 5 minutes break, 20 minutes studying, 5 minutes break.
That's what I'm doing, ma'am. But
it takes time. It is just not easy. It takes time. It takes years of practice. Make it a goal. No, 3 months from now, he will be able to sit and study without me screaming at him. When I say it's time to study, he will come and sit. That is your goal. Understood? Work backwards. Have that as one of the goals. It will happen. It will take time. But again, Monday to Saturday, you need to follow it. What I do is I follow it Monday to Sunday morning. Sunday evenings, I don't trouble my children after 12 o'clock. Monday, 7 o'clock, I don't disturb them. And if they have holidays, school holidays, I didn't say, oh, you have a school holiday, come sit down and study unless there is exam. If they have summer holiday, December holidays, I don't ask them to study. But that took me time to build up. You can do it. It takes time. I'm not denying that. It takes a lot of time. But that is something you all need to build up, a study habit for your child, a time to sit down in a place, even if it's putting a puzzle at a younger age, even if it's writing CAT or coloring. Half an hour a day, you need to sit in a place and do it. That is your time to study or read or color or draw, whatever. At a younger age, we used to do crayons. We used to play with clay, my son and I. I've done it with my daughter also. When they were 3, 3.5, it was more of fine motors, talking, telling me a story, singing a song, singing a nursery rhyme. But that half an hour, we would sit in one place and do it. And they couldn't get up and move out. So that has become a habit. That's why it's easier for me now. And easier for the children to sit down in a place and study. So try it for 3 months consistently, because that is the only way you will know whether it's working or not. And it's not going to be easy. He is going to defy, he is going to fight because he's 15.
Yeah, he is very rebel and adamant towards whatever I do.
So you are his mother. You also be rebelling and adamant. You be the adult. You need to be firm. There is no other way out. You can say whatever you want, unless you put in that 1 hour of study, you're not getting your TV, or you're not getting your toys, or you're not getting whatever. You're just not getting it. Your electronics are taken away. You put in consistent 1 hour of studying, I will give you your electronics. It's a barter system. There's no reward here at this age. It's barter. You want something, I want something in return. Nothing is free. Try it. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Not try it. You know, we cannot try it now. We have to just do it. Okay, behavior, discipline, respecting elders, respecting parents. This all only the parents in the house can do. Aditya is very, very obedient when he's with me, but he's the exact opposite when he reaches home. And I also know that.
Yeah, that's why he can push the limits, right, Sini?
Correct.
With you, he can't push the limits. You're an outsider.
Correct. But with my teacher, he plays around. With me, he doesn't.
I will. I know who I can push, who I can't push. Children are very manipulative.
They're very manipulative.
From the time they are born, you are dancing to their tunes. They are never dancing to yours. Your child cried, you had to clean. He cried, you had to give him food. From the time they were born, you are working around their schedule, which is not right. You let them know that you have a life. You let them know that you are the boss.
You are the boss. You have to remember, each one of you, mother and father. This is something I tell my
children repeatedly, Deepika. As long as you're staying under my roof and you're earning, you're eating the money or you're eating things that are made out of the money earned by your father and I, you listen to us. You follow our rules. You don't like it, get out. You think life is going to be easier outside, going to your grandparents' house? Your grandparents will do it for so many years. After that, they will not do it. You're using an electronic gadget, which I bought you. You wouldn't pay for it. So I get to determine when you use it. Because there's only one responsibility that you as a child have. And I've been telling this from the beginning. Your job is to get an education. Equip yourself to take care of yourself at a later stage, because I'm not going to continue to do it all my life. And that is the reality for our children. Any child. They need to know that that is their job. Like my job is to teach, or their father's job is to code or work in a government office. It's my responsibility for me to do that and provide for you. Similarly, it's your responsibility to get a good education, for which you need to attend your class, you need to work on your remediation, you need to sit down at home and study. Make it their responsibility. That is very important. At 15, he should be able to understand that. And I'm sorry if he's being rude and misbehaving with you. Somewhere I blame you because you allowed it. The first time he did that, you should have put a stop. You're not his friend. Many of us make the mistake saying, oh, you know what, my child, it's okay, poor thing. Let me be a friend. Maybe I'll be able to get better to him. No, that's not your role. Your role is being a parent. You can be friendly with your child, but you can't be the child's friend. So be the parent. Put down the rules. These are the rules that have to be followed no matter what. I don't care. You answer back to me, there are going to be consequences. I'm not telling you to hit your child. That doesn't work. It never works. Because they get used to hitting. They say, what, you're going to hit me? Come. It just doesn't work at any age. But consequences work. Making them being responsible for what they're doing works. You were rude to me. I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm not going to give you electronic device. This is the consequence of what you did to me. Own it up. Be responsible for what you did. That is what you're teaching your child.
Especially with the lockdown time, full time in the house, screen time, they are just taking us for granted. Correct?
Yeah.
Each one of us are going
It's the job of the children. They are doing their job well. You are not doing yours. Don't blame them. I'm also a parent. Trust me, I know what I'm going through. But yeah, that's the harsh reality.
Correct. I've been telling them, Divya has just connected with me from last 3 days and I'm like after her. Just stop it now. Stop the screen completely. Block it. There is no good way of doing it. You have to just do it.
Yeah.
Even Sina is going through the same cycle now, Divya. All my parents are at the same, we all are going through the same situation. There is no difference. For us, it's all the same.
True.
I have a 19-year-old, but today also we fight for this. Every day it's a fight.
Yeah, it's either you're fighting with your spouse or you're fighting with your children. It doesn't change much, okay?
Yeah, it doesn't. We are fighting. One or the other reason, we are always fighting.
So don't feel bad about fighting, because if you get the end result of what you want, it's worth it.
Yes.
You know, if you're getting your child to be off screen, or you're getting your child to sit down for an hour, or you're getting your child to be responsible, you have done your job by being the strict parent. It's okay. Right. Applies to you also, Mohan. I'm not saying just for women. It applies to all of us.
He is also aware. He is on the same page with all of us. We all are on the same page.
12 o'clock.
Your job is that of a parent, not a friend. Don't try to be their friend. Be friends with your friends. Let him be with his friends.
The younger ones, plus point is in your hand, because it is possible now. If you do it now, there is no looking back. With the elder ones, it is going to be a very difficult journey, but it is achievable. You can do it. As parents, only you will be able to do it.
Any questions, Suni? Yes. I'm sorry, I'm just asking because...
Yeah, one last question, ma'am. With my son, this 1 hour study time or, doing something constructive, I've been trying to apply it, but he uses all kinds of delay tactics with me. It's very tough.
Okay, find a quiet place. How old is he?
He's 9. He's 9.
Find a quiet place where nobody will disturb him. Okay. The room is shut. Nobody's allowed to come in for the next 20 minutes. Put a timer. Start with an activity that he likes. Can be drawing, can be puzzle, can be anything.
Right.
You need to start slow because you didn't bring in that habit in him.
Correct.
Start with 20 minutes. Every day, 20 minutes, you have to sit down. I'll give you a 10-minute break. After that, I'll call you again, come back for another 15 minutes. We'll do some reading. We'll do some spelling. We'll do some math. The activity also needs to be very limited when you start.
Right.
Till they get into the habit of sitting with you. The first time you would have walked into your classroom to sit, your teachers in your kindergarten or first grade, the amount of activities they had and more of talking, less of writing, right?
True.
Over the years, it became more of writing, less of reading, less of anything else. You change the dynamic slowly.
Right.
Don't do it together saying, no, you have to sit 1 hour today itself. Start with 20.
20 minutes.
Next day, make it 25. Next week, make it 35.
Slowly increase it.
Very slowly. And if he's consistently doing 45 minutes with 2 breaks in between, you're fine.
Okay.
But put a timer. I'm putting a timer for 3 minutes. When I call you, you better come back.
Correct.
I mean, it's not doable. You just need to break it into small things. So imagine you're cooking a biryani. A biryani needs a lot of ingredients, right?
Right.
First, you find out if all the ingredients are there. Then you buy, otherwise it's not there. You keep it all outside. Then you start cooking, right?
True.
That's what you're doing. You're going through, I don't know how I can think of an example for you, sir. I'm breaking my head. So he's related to that. You're planning a wedding. A wedding has so many components, right? Only when everything comes together and does the wedding happen. So please think of that. You can't have you just cannot have everything tuck because you wanted it today. This is not the era of where I want to have, Chinese noodles. So I go to a Chinese shop and somebody makes it and gives it to me. That's not how it works. Instant gratification is not available. You want to be gratified. You want to have your goal reached. You need to work on it step by step.
And it works, Divya. It works. Nisha can tell her. Nisha had shared her experience yesterday. She has achieved that. She has achieved that with her son. He is the only child with us for whom we had to stop all the access. No keyboard access, no mouse access, no games, no videos. We had to stop everything for him. But now he is on the correct line. Now he knows, no, I can't play with them. I cannot play with my parents. I have to do what they are telling me to do. It happened. Again, I'm telling, it is only because of Nisha's compliance. Word to word compliance. Rest others, it is not happening because somewhere it is not being followed as it should be, or they are not being strict. They are not being consistent and diligent. It is difficult. It looks unachievable, impossible it looks. But after all, they are just kids. They are only children. They are only 8, 9, 10, 13 or 15-year-old. You are 25 plus, you are 30 plus, you are 40 plus. You have the upper hand. Every time you will have an upper hand. You have to bring it into function. That's all.
Right.
Trust me, with one parent, it becomes very difficult. If both the parents are involved, equally shared, the stress level comes down. Correct, Kalpana? If it is shared, although it looks very, very, superficial, but it can be achieved. I know, I understand.
I've seen single parents working diligently. I've seen both parents working together.
Yes.
I mean, it's just about your willingness. I'm sorry to say that, but it's your willingness.
Yes.
Your husband or your wife might not work with you, but you can make wonders on your own. They just need not interfere.
There's no point blaming. We cannot blame. We have to do it.
You can set the ground rules for your children. Deepika, today you can put down the ground rules and tell your child, this is the ground rules. From today onwards, we are going to follow this. There are no two ways about it. Any of us can do it. That's up to us. And we can tell our spouse saying, no, these are the rules. And you know what? I need your support with this. And it can mean as simple as, please don't interfere when I'm doing something. But having your partner's support makes a lot of difference. Or both of you can sit together and decide what you want for your child and do it. It's up to you how you work it out. Yeah. It was lovely meeting all of you. Please do reach out if there's anything you need. Sini has my number.
Yes. I've shared your number with them yesterday only.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming and listening to me for so long.
Thanks a lot, Kalpana.
I
think I will be getting in touch with you for a little more, at least once a month of these sessions, because it's really helpful. Yeah. There are certain times when I reach a dead end with parents. I find it that I'm failing to make them understand what their exact difficulty is when it comes to the academics. The expectation of their academic, outcome from the child. Until unless they don't understand that, they will not be able to find a different path for the child. And it's not very different out of something. We have to just open up our mind. That's all.
Very true. Thank you so much for being a part of the session. It was lovely.
Thanks all the parents. Kalpana, very thankful to you.
Thank you. It was very informative. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. See you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.